And there's this real beauty and simplicity. And I think it can be actually really hard to get to that place unless you're willing to really get rid of all the distractions in your life. So I think, rather than seeing minimalism or decluttering as something of a chore or something that of a burden or something that's really time consuming, I think when your North Star is reaching this place of beautiful simplicity, it becomes really, really motivating to keep it that way.
That was Michael Ofei, and this is episode number 157 of the Chopped Podcast. Hey there, and welcome to the Chopped Podcast. I'm Marley. I'm the host. I'm with the site Namely Marley, and this is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. And what are we doing here? Well, my goal is to share with you thoughts, stories, interviews, everything related to food blogging so we can all learn together about what works with food blogging and maybe even a little bit about what doesn't. Let me just take a moment to say how grateful I am for you and that you're here with me today listening to this episode. I mean, don't you think podcasting is amazing? This notion that we can all communicate together. And, I just feel like when I go back to the early days of food blogging, we were all just trying to figure all this stuff out on our own. And now I can share with you my thoughts on the things that I'm doing. I am, I don't consider myself an expert. I just feel like I share with you the things that work for me. I love having guests on the show because they can share what works for them. And maybe through it all, we figure out together, the things that actually are working. And as you know, it can change tomorrow anyway. So I just think if we, have a sense of humor and a sense of fun and inspirational learning together, it really makes a big difference. I know I love this communication opportunity with you, and I hope that you are inspired by it as well. It's one of the reasons we actually started the podcast in the first place, is just because we wanted to share more about what's happening out with food bloggers. It's another reason we had the conference for several years, is just to find a way to get people together where we could learn and support each other in a very, I guess supportive environment is the word that comes to mind. And it's one of the reasons that we also have now started Chopped courses, because again, I just feel like there's so much we can learn from each other. And we started with the Pinterest course, and now we are so excited to say that we have an Instagram course as well. And what I feel is so different about these courses is that we're actually sharing screencasts of food bloggers who are doing the work. So it's like, if you can just imagine if you're in a situation where you're looking over someone's shoulder and they're going, oh, let me show you how I do this. This is how I use Tailwind, or this is how I use, this app to share my content onto Instagram. And this is the way that I do Instagram stories, things like that. All these things that you've kind of been wondering about. How do they do this? How do they do this all the time? How do they do it this way? This is what these courses are about, basically, is we recorded their screens and we're sharing it with you. And I love it because, one, it can help you prove that you're doing it right. So you may see some things in there that you're already doing. And for me, it gave me a lot of confidence to go, okay, I am doing this right. I maybe came up with this process on my own, but I see other people are doing it too. So I feel really good about that. Or you get tips on oh, okay, so this is what they do to make that happen. And here's the really cool way to use Tailwind to share your content onto Pinterest or whatever. Or finally, you might actually see some things in there that you think are cool, but they don't work for you, but you still have a good idea. Maybe you can take that in a different direction for your own social media sharing. I just feel like there's so much good to be had of these courses. I really love them. I think you will too. And in fact, we're so thrilled that we just launched the Instagram course that we're offering, a discount to our lovely podcast listeners. So through today and through the end of March 2018, we are offering a 20% discount for folks who buy both the Pinterest and the Instagram course. So all you have to do is go to chopped.academy and then add both the Instagram and the Pinterest course to your shopping cart. And then while you're checking out, you just add the word podcast in the discount code, and that's going to give you 20% off both courses. I'm just so excited to be able to offer this to you, offer the course, and offer you the opportunity to, just like I say, see these screencasts and see how people are doing the work so we can all feel more confident in the things that we're doing. I love it. Okay, on to today's show. Today's guests are Masa and Michael. They're of the site The Minimalist Vegan. We are talking about their book by the same name, The Minimalist Vegan, and they have a blog by the same name where they share recipes. But their book just takes it even further than just food, and they're talking about how we can embrace minimalism as an everyday practice and the implications that are involved. I mean, I realize that you may be asking, how does minimalism impact food blogging? And I just felt the same way myself, but Michael shares about the importance of knowing your big why and how that can kind of just like free you from all the other things that are going on. So for example, I feel like in food blogging, there's a lot of shoulds. We should be on Instagram. We should be on Pinterest. We should be on Facebook. We should be doing this. We should have better photos. We should have videos. It just starts to be very overwhelming at times. And how much of that is what you should be doing and how much of it is, really directly, connected to your big why. And what I love about this is because, my big goal is to work smarter, not harder. And so all the shoulds that are on the list would make me work harder, and I can do all those things. In fact, I talk about it with them in the interview that I can have a very get or done kind of mindset, which can be kind of dangerous because I can pursue a list like nobody's business. But the question is it the right list, right? I mean, I think that's what we're all trying to ask. And so Michael and Masa are talking about that, about the importance of using minimalism as a way to know that you're on the right track. I love how they talk about how, for example, even just having the right clothes that you love, or having your desk cleaned off with minimal things on it. These kinds of things can actually help you in your business life because I don't spend as much time getting ready because I know what I'm going to wear and I know that I love the clothes that I've got, or my desk is cleaned off and I feel, more productive as a result. I mean, these are just little ways that minimalism can have a big impact. And me, I've been kind of preoccupied with this idea of authenticity because I think it's a term people throw around a lot. I don't know that I necessarily grasp what it means on a day-to-day basis because I look at other people and I feel like, yeah, they really look like they know their authenticity, and I feel like I grapple with it at times. And so I love this idea of minimalism as a way of, kind of helping you really discover the things that you truly love. And I have an example of what this means because I'm reading the book Presto, yes, I think that's the name of it, by Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. And he talks about, he's went on this big weight loss journey, and the book is really interesting. And he says that, as a kid, he had cake seldom. And then as an adult and a successful adult with the money that he needed, he could have cake all the time. And as a result, cake lost its meaning. And actually it was through going on this diet and losing weight, and he allows himself these cheat days that he really enjoys cake a lot more when he's having it not as often. And I felt like that kind of reminded me a little bit about what Michael and Masa are saying here in this interview, that if you, purposefully choose to, reduce all the things around you, that through that you can find your kind of like, it's like an inward journey. You have to go inward to really know who you are. And through all of, maybe it's through getting rid of things externally that helps us really go inward and really understand who we are. And we can become more authentic and really know our big why as a result. We definitely talk a lot about food blogging and how, especially in like social media and the impacts that minimalism can have. Can you be ambitious and be a minimalist? I think that's a really great question. And we go into that as well. We definitely go into the topic of comparison. That's a very big part of, I think, being a food blogger, because we're constantly surrounded by other things that people are doing. And how does that make you feel about yourself? And how can you, go beyond that and feel your, Michael likes to say your North Star. And I love that term because it reminds me of a book by Martha Beck about, discovering your North Star and knowing that you're on the right path for yourself. As you can tell, I was very inspired by today's discussion, and I hope you will be too. So let's get straight to it. Here's today's feature interview with Masha and Michael. Hey everyone, I'm happy to have Masha and Michael Ofei. They're of the site The Minimalist Vegan, and they also have a book by the same name, and they are on the show today. Hey Masha and Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Marley, for having us.
Hey, Marley.
Hi Michael, how are you? Yeah. I'm so glad to have you both here, and I think we're going to have a great conversation. I think, I don't know if I doubt you know this about me, but my mom has moved into an independent living facility. So the concept of minimalism has been on my mind a lot lately because my sister and I have been tasked with getting rid of all the stuff that's in her house.
Yes.
Yes.
Sentimentals.
Yeah.
Yes, all the things. Yes. And I can't tell you how many trips we've made to Goodwill and how many, things we had to get rid of. And it just has made me think, like how much stuff we have and, what the value would be to, I don't know, like be a little bit more mindful and have quality things more than quantity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think that, what we call the more virus is kicked into our society at large. And I think we've been so used to consuming things, whether it's sentimental or whether it's just for security or feeling better about ourselves or just in case, products and items around our houses and our lives. And I think, every time that there's a big transition in life, particularly around moving locations, it's always a great opportunity for all of us to reflect on, all the possessions that we own. And I think naturally we do end up culling a lot in that process. And it's a great way to, I suppose, trigger and kickstart that minimalism journey.
Yes, I love that actually, because I think about how many times I have moved the same box, when I move from place to place and not opened it once.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad, don't you think?
Well, it gives you the opportunity then to really actually address, whether you need those items or not. And moving is actually a great way to do that with. But yeah, if you do catch yourself going, well, I'm just moving this box from place to place, then it's probably a good idea to address it so that you're moving less stuff next time.
Yes, exactly. And I think sometimes minimalism is like a way of life. It's almost like I could see a comparison to diet where you might, go on a diet and lose a few pounds. So you could kind of go through this purge where you like, I'm going to get rid of all these things. But if you just kind of keep going out and buying new things, you almost have to make it a way of life, I think.
Absolutely. It's, you hit it right, the nail right on the head there in terms of, I think a lot of people get into this mindset of I'm going to declutter. And, that's quite similar to, spring cleaning and, going through a bit of a sprint of what you could effectively get rid of. But unless you've got the right mindset and a strong why behind minimalism as a philosophy in your life, you're going to fall into the trap of bringing more things into your life that you don't necessarily need or you don't deem as essential. So you're correct in saying that there's a lot of mind work in there. And in fact, when you declutter, it should give you the opportunity to, go back to ground zero. And it's just about maintaining it from that point on. And it becomes really easy about, once you've got the right lens and you're asking yourself the right questions, it becomes really simple to, decide what things to bring into your life and what to keep out.
I like that idea of having the right lens because I think you got to have a very good point that like kind of purging and getting rid of things and getting rid of clutter it gives you a vision of this room could look like without all the things, and I look at my desk, for example. I end up with all these things all over my desk and I know every now and then I'll just kind of get to this, I got to get rid of everything. And I love my desk so much better when it's nice and tidy and clean.
Absolutely. And I think, we like to think of, simplicity as this really beautiful place to be in. So, and I think you see that in some of our most favorite products. And when you see minimalist design in whether it's websites, magazines, whether it's physical products like iPhones, you kind of marvel at how they got to something so simple. And I think when you look at your life and you look at that table in your office and you're like, I really love the way this looks when it doesn't have much on it, or you like the way these clothes fit because it's your favorite garment that you have in your rotation. And there's this real beauty and simplicity, and I think it can be actually really hard to get to that place unless you're willing to really get rid of all the distractions in your life. So I think rather than seeing minimalism or decluttering as something of a chore or something that of a burden or something that's really time consuming, I think when your North Star is reaching this place of beautiful simplicity, it becomes really, really motivating to keep it that way.
Well, another thing I love about this conversation, Michael and Masha, is that I have been on this journey towards authenticity because I have to be honest, I sometimes feel a little like I question what that actually means because I have been traditionally a very much of a people pleaser, so it's very easy for me to have this feeling like, well, that makes that person happy, so that makes me happy too, or it's I feel like it makes it like I have another layer I have to go through to really figure out who I am authentically. But then as I look at other people, I think, how is it that people go through the process of being authentic? And I wonder if this idea of minimalism is a way to help you be a little more authentic and know who you are.
Oh, Marley, you're getting me excited. You're getting me excited. I think, sorry, Marsha, I'm taking over here.
That's okay.
I think, for us, when I look back at our journey towards minimalism, before that, we definitely had ambition. We had ambition to, get great jobs and to accumulate multiple assets and build portfolios and to buy clothes and cars and houses and all these aspirations, which I think has been drummed into our culture through advertising, through what our friends and family are doing, through our parents' expectations of us. And I think that's how we define success as a culture. But when we move into minimalism and this mindset of pursuing less, it really allows you to get away from that noise and start to think independently and redefine success for yourself as an individual. So it allows you, if accumulating assets and money is no longer the big goal, and obviously we all need to get by on basic level of means. But if that's not your North Star anymore, what is it? So, this opportunity really, allows you to look at yourself in the mirror and think about, okay, well, what do I want my life to really look like? And that's when you have to look internally to what is actually important to you, not based on what other people expect of you or what society expects of you. And I think when you can start to go down that direction, then it becomes really clear what you need to get rid of. And we talk about physical possessions and minimalism, but this could be relationships, this could be commitments in your life. Minimalism to us extends way beyond possessions. But I think what got me really excited about what you said is that, I think both Marsha and I feel a lot more authentic as a result of this process because we have detached ourselves from what is expected of us and we just purely do things that we really want to do.
You mean like even on a day-to-day basis? I mean, I imagine you have work that you have to do. So you probably are very purposeful in even the work that you do?
Absolutely. So Marsha, I'll let you jump in.
I was just going to say that it trains that part of your brain to just start saying no more comfortably. And it takes a little while to actually get used to because I'm a people pleaser as well. And not saying yes to everything in life can sometimes, make you want to curl up in a little ball and cry because you feel bad, But I think you have to prioritize things in your life and what actually brings true joy to you and what you see as valuable and surrounding yourself with people and with things and commitments that actually move you forward rather than bringing you back, because you might have people in your life that every time you see them, you have a conversation and they're always negative. And you have to start questioning, well, I've known this person for 20 years, but are they actually adding value to my life? It sounds brutal, but you leave that conversation deflated, and you might be stressing about, what they're going through and all of that. And you're there to support them. But if every single time that you see them, all you're getting from them is negativity, you sometimes have to start questioning whether or not that's, where you want to be in life. And you sometimes end up being more negative yourself because you want to please them, or you want to connect with them on that level. So relationships is a really interesting point, and something
that's a very good point.
You
may end up actually even being minimalists on your friends. In other words, choosing who you spend time with.
Yeah, because there is I can't remember who said it, but you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
The Jim Rohn quote, the famous Jim Rohn.
Yeah. So, that kind of makes you start questioning, well, who am I actually spending time with, and how are they impacting me in a positive way? And, so that's a really big thing for me that I've kind of learned over the years is, just surrounding myself with people that inspire me, and finding, new ways of connecting with people with the internet and people that are in the same industry, because we don't really have anyone that really, has a blog and does recipes and writes books and that are probably true minimalist vegans. So, with the internet, you get to connect with people all over the world in that sense. So
yeah, but it's and I think it's when we talk about other minimalists in the the blogging world, and and it's again, when we first think of this concept, it's about paring down or getting rid of things, but at the core, minimalism is really actually about addition. And I know it sounds crazy, but when we fill our lives with so much clutter, we kind of drown ourselves in it, and it doesn't enable us to actually start being of service or pursuing things that we really absolutely want to do. Like, you might have been an artist since you're 5 years old, and you haven't been able to express yourself through art and paintings throughout your adult life because you've had so many commitments on your plate. You've got a family, you've got job commitments, and to top it off, you walk into your house and you have all this physical clutter weighing you down. So it stifles your creativity. But if art and painting brings you so much joy, being able to start to look at your life objectively and eliminate things that are distractions to that is actually going to free up your time to get back to what you really want to do, and it's going to make you, a more positive person to be around. So it's minimalism to us is actually about addition. So it's about actually figuring out what you really want to spend your time doing more of, or you want to be in service of, and then it becomes incredibly simple to start getting rid of all the things that are getting in your way.
Wow, that was really huge, because I think it's easy to have this preconceived notion of a minimalist that is somebody who's kind of, I'm sorry, okay, just let me to say this word and don't take it personally, but I'm thinking I might have this stereotype that a minimalist is kind of boring.
Yeah. Well, I personally did too, and we actually talk about that a lot before we went on this journey. What was it, almost 4 years ago? I freaked out when Michael first wanted to introduce minimalism to me, because I had the exact same feeling. I've grown up with a very artistic family, and for me, living in a house with white walls, white furniture, and one chair freaked me out. So I was like, oh my God, this is not for me. But once you start actually learning the meaning behind it and what it actually entails, we still have a really funky place, and we dress to express ourselves, but I think it's reducing the things that you don't need and keeping the things that actually really bring you joy. So that doesn't mean that it has to be a really bland piece of furniture. It can be exquisite, but you really do love it. It's not there just because it's there.
It's not there because you have the space to put it there as well.
Yeah. So it's not filling every nook and cranny that you have in your house with stuff just because you have the space. Yeah. But it's actually being very intentional with where everything is and what purpose it serves. So,
you know, what I like about that is that I can imagine that if you do love, like, you know, furniture is a good example. If you really love that piece, I have a feeling that you're going to take better care of it too, and then it's going to last longer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not, you know, something that you've just gone and bought because it was cheap and that will break in a few years, and you have the mentality of, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It was only $5 anyways. You know, you're actually picking things with purpose for longevity and because they make you feel good. So
yeah, and then, you know, and as Marsha said, that life cycle, the shortened life cycle contributes towards waste and, you know, all these other impacts, the things that could affect our planet and environment. And, you know, when we're constantly decluttering and, you know, we're doing some spring cleaning and then we end up passing on a whole bunch of things to our friends and family, then for things that they don't need, then we're actually passing on clutter to our most loved ones as well. So, you know, having things that last longer, that are really high quality, sort of mitigates, you know, this shortened shelf life of our products that we get because it's cheap.
Yes.
We also,
I love that too, because, oh, go ahead, Masha.
I was just going to say, we also talk about in our book the concept, the mindset of, you know, oh, I'll buy this, and if I can't, you know, you try and squeeze into a dress and you think, oh, well, if I don't wear this, then I know that my sister will. So you buy it with that intent of already knowing in your head that you can pass it on to someone if it doesn't work out. And I think a lot of people can get trapped in that mindset as well. Well, it was only $5. If it doesn't work out for me, I'll pass it on to someone else. But you should really stop yourself at that point and go, well, is this going to serve me the purpose and will it bring me joy, rather than having the mentality of, well, I can easily pass this on, because that's where consumerism really kicks in and it kind of makes you feel guilt-free about it as well.
Yeah, I love that. And in fact, you know, talking about mindfulness, it makes me think about, you mentioned in your book, the Harvard Business Study that says 95% of our purchasing decisions are made subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really goes to this notion that we have to fix our subconscious in order to take these other steps. Do you agree with that?
Definitely.
Yeah, that and that's why the whole philosophy of our book is more about some questions you should be asking yourself in terms of, okay, these are the next actionable steps towards transitioning to minimalism or veganism, because we know that if the why is strongly embedded in what you do and how you see the world, then the actions are going to follow. Everyone can get the quick tip of, you know, how to declutter or how to make vegan cookies, but how sustainable is that going to be if you don't have a really strong why about what you're doing?
So tell me more about that why. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I suppose we can really relate to this in our story when we first became minimalists. And I alluded to this before, but it was really a paradigm shift from pursuing more to pursuing less. And once we started to see the benefits of simplicity, i.e., we started to live more authentically, we started to actually do things, create time for the things we really wanted to do. Once we started seeing these benefits around the why, then making decisions of what to bring into our lives became extremely easy. Now, with veganism, for us, that happened like many people. It happened overnight, in an instant, after we watched a documentary called Earthlings. And, you know, that really gave us the connection, you know, brought our attention to the connection between what we consume as human beings and some of and the harm that we're doing to animals and the planet, well beyond just what we consume in terms of food. So once we were exposed to that documentary, the why was so strong we couldn't unwatch some of those scenes in our minds. And in an instant, we became vegan and we haven't looked back since, whilst somebody else might be on a different journey because the why wasn't as strongly impacted up front. So I think it's about really conditioning, and I think it applies to everything. If you really, want to go on a journey of losing weight or pursuing art or launching a blog or a business, again, it really comes down to how badly do you want it? Do you know why you're pursuing this? And then once you do that, then the actions are going to organically follow. So that's a really big part of what we're trying to do with this book and our blog is, we blog all the time about the actions, but we want to talk a little bit more about the gooey stuff and the thought process behind why.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about your blog because, I'm a food blogger too, and I love talking about food blogs. And there are I feel like as a blogger, there are so many demands on our time, and there's so, you talk about more, always wanting more, and also the fear of missing out. And to me, it just feels like as food bloggers, that's just like everywhere. How do we have a successful business and at the same time embrace the tenets of minimalism?
I personally find with blogging, what I've learned is just to stop comparing yourself to other people and what they're doing. That's probably a great place to start, because then you don't have this whole, well, oh my God, they're posting 5 times a week, I need to be doing that as well. And you just need to stay true to what you actually want to do. And again, that why you're doing this. So that's kind of how I've stopped wanting to, again, bringing back to that people pleaser situation of always wanting to make sure that we're doing our best, but at the same time, you need to remember as to why you started it in the first place and not putting mediocre content out. If it's less is more sometimes, you'd rather put quality over quantity. And so, I find that when you stop comparing yourself to others and you step away and you actually look at what you want to be achieving, it's a really good place to ground yourself. And it's hard to then shift because you know that you're strong yourself and where you're going. And, things may pop up from time to time, and they do for us as well. Oh, that would be a great idea to start this or to do that or whatever. Right. But then again, you have to think, well, do I have time for that, first of all? And if I really want to do that, well, what do I have to crowd out for that to happen? So, we focused on our book the second half of last year, and this year we're focusing on a cookbook. And then next year we'll see what happens from there. But, one project at a time for us so that we can actually put out the best quality product that we actually can.
So do you feel like when you're, for example, you were working on this book last year, are you then maybe taking a step back and not blogging as much, or other things that you're making changes to give yourself time?
Yeah. So, I mean, we did blog a bit less last year when we were doing it, but I think it's also we have another business, so we kind of also stripped that back. We weren't spending as much time on that. So we were focusing most of our attention on the book. So that's kind of, seeing where the opportunity is and we probably weren't seeing as friends as often as we normally would, or family and things like that, because we kind of had that goal of getting it out, launching it on the 1st of January. And so we sort of tried to see where we had the opportunities to do so.
Yeah, and I think you can't be too judgmental on yourself when it comes to minimalism and professional work as well. And I think, we getting back to that concept about addition by subtraction. So if you really have a book in yourself, or you really want to launch a blog and write lots of recipes, then something is likely got to give in your life. And I think you just got to be really honest about what that's going to be. And just do a bit of a self-audit and see where you can create that time to pursue that. But, to take it to the other extreme, I can't really think of too many examples of high performers in any field, could be athletes, entrepreneurs, that are doing the best work of their lives, but are doing everything else in their lives as well. Like in terms of,
Yeah.
running the kids to school and, spending lots of times with friends and family and going to a
Right.
lot of social events or watching lots of Netflix. I can't really think of too many examples where they can do it all.
Yeah.
They've kind of made a decision to go all in whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
But that's what brings them the most satisfaction, and that's how they believe they can serve the world better as well. So I think it's also starts with, the question is really easy to say, don't stop comparing yourself to others, but it's much harder to execute. So I think, again, it comes back down to that mindset of, okay, well, if I'm launching a blog, why am I doing it? Is my recipe blog to be 5 ingredients or less because I want to bring simplicity to mothers around the world? Or do I want to bring European cuisine to the vegan community because I don't see it and I'm really passionate about it? Or do I want to write about, minimalism in business because I think it's too overwhelming? Whatever it is, I think you really need to pick that theme and reflect on it daily, and don't be
Yeah.
too hard on yourself, if it needs to change in the future as well. But once you have that North Star, and then go all in on it, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid or too hard on yourself. To do things based on what society deems. Go all in on you.
Yeah, I just chuckled a little bit because I was just thinking, like, what if your answer is yes to all of those things? You want to do them all. I guess you maybe have to just create some chapters and do things in segments.
Yep.
Well, I guess it's just focusing on one thing at a time and
Yeah.
really thinking, well, which one resonates with me right now in this point in my life? You can plan it out and execute them over time, but I think it's important to prioritize and think, well, big picture as well. Where do I want this to take me?
I think sometimes as food bloggers, we can create some of that minimalism in our lives. One way would be to hire some people to help. For example, social media is a really good example. I realize that as a food blogger, we have to have a presence on a lot of these social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
How much we choose to be on that is one thing to think about, and then the next would be how much of that we have to do ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's important to. I mean, we've thought about outsourcing social media so many times, and I always say no because I just find that you lose your authenticity and your voice when you do that. And I so strongly believe in being authentic and always speaking from yourself, that outsourcing something like social media, unless you want it to be fairly, not robotic, but, pretty straightforward, then that's fine.
Mhm.
But I find that you want to be able to voice your opinion. No one has your brain and your thoughts and all of those sorts of things. So it's really hard to replicate that. But, there's great scheduling platforms out there
Yes.
if you want to reduce the amount of time daily that you're spending on social media. So,
and I think it's just like being strategic about where you want a presence. It's going to be really overwhelming to launch on 5 different social media platforms at the same time. But you might say you want to focus purely on Instagram for year one and to see how that goes. And then just focus on Instagram and your website, or your email list and your website, or then Facebook, you can layer that on top, and then Pinterest. But I think going at everything at the same time is really going to set you up for overwhelm to keep up with it all. But I think, just looking at it in stages and really actually enjoying. I think it's getting back to not seeing this as a chore or a burden because you're just trying to get a message out and get reach. But actually, do you actually really enjoy being on Instagram? Like, do you like the community? Do you like the aesthetic? Are you actually loving the process of posting on it? And I think when we get back to focusing on the process, you find you're going to get a better results because you're going to be more authentic. You're going to be connecting at a deeper level.
I was going to say, with social media, they're constantly changing the algorithm, and I see that so many bloggers and Instagrammers that have massive accounts are getting frustrated because they're not getting as much reach as they used to. And it's like, for me, like that would sort of, I kind of think, well, yes, I know you want reach, but are you still putting out an authentic self? And even if it is to two people, those two people care and they've seen your work. So I think it's really important to reflect back and kind of check yourself and see, well, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I want people to notice me and for popularity? Because Instagram, I find in particular, has become a bit of a bubble. And so there's so many people out there that are putting out content just because they want the followers, they want the likes, they want the comments, but there's not as much authenticity and connection going on anymore. It's just like for like, comment for comment sort of play now.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, I'm taking these words to heart so much because, talking about earlier with my mom's house, we also spent the last 3 months fixing up her house so we could put it on the market. And I am such a get her done kind of person. I can get a lot done, let me tell you. And I was in such a air quotes get her done mentality. It's like, come on, let's just get this done. Let's just paint these walls and paint the ceiling. And I felt in that mode for 3 months. I've been in that mode, and I realized how unhappy it made me.
Yeah.
And I feel like in some ways that can be with social media too, right? It's listening to what you said, Michael, and what you said, Masha, that like, it's so easy to just like, okay, I gotta plan out my schedule for the week. I got to get it done. I got to get the list done. And
it's like, why am I doing this again?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
for me or for everyone else?
Do you know what? We're just it's quite uncanny. I'm literally just scheduling a post about minimalist blogging.
Wow.
Can you believe it? And it's like literally just wrote it this week, and it was it was about I think it was just accountability to ourselves and what the minimalist vegan is, but it was seriously, it was going through and looking at, okay, well, getting away from this schedule of, I want to post this many articles this year. So we're actually going to go and audit our whole archives, and we're actually going to get rid of posts that we don't think aligns with our message anymore. We're actually going to,
or is adding value to
or it's not adding value to our audience anymore. So we're actually going to create an archives that we're really proud of. We're actually going to go to our email list and really reach out to all the subscribers who are inactive and give them an opportunity to unsubscribe. And if they don't in a couple of weeks, then we're going to remove them from our list. We're not going to accept any guest posts this year so we can get back to our own voice. Like, we're actually trying to apply minimalism to our blog as well. But it's all with that North Star of going, no, like we just want to put out content that matters to us. And that's authentic and connective. And so it's just really timely that we're talking about these principles in social media and in blogging. And we're actually going through this process right now.
Oh, I feel so moved by this. I think this conversation has come at such a great time for me just because of all of that. And so I'm really thrilled to be talking with you both. I have these fun questions I love to ask people at the end of the interview. Are you game?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you have to answer individually. I mean, what is one food item that you can't live without?
Peanut butter.
Me too. I love peanut butter.
I don't know that because I don't know. I'd probably have to say the potatoes, maybe. Potatoes? I don't know. I love everything. So for me, it's not like something that if you eliminated something out of my life, I'd be like, that's okay. Don't go eliminating 20. But yeah, probably potatoes would have to be up there because I do so much with potatoes.
Plain old white or sweet potatoes, or what's your favorite kind of potato?
Depends on what I'm using it for, but probably in taste, I do prefer sweet potato in most things. But white potato is just so versatile.
That's true.
Yeah.
Michael, what about your peanut butter? Do you put it on like bananas or toast, or what do you eat it with?
Yeah, everything. It's my guilty pleasure. I love satay. So I love making satay dishes. You name it, on bread,
Yeah.
in banana smoothies, wherever I
Yes.
can get it in.
Yep, I feel the same way. Okay, so both of you, what's the favorite app on your phone? This is going to be big from a minimalist. I'm really curious to hear what this is going to be.
Favorite app? I honestly don't even have that many apps. And yeah, I'd maybe say Instagram, but that's just because that's probably the one that I check the most every day. I don't have much on my phone. So yeah,
How about you,
I'd
Michael?
have to say Instagram.
Oh, see, I'm torn between giving you an answer about favorite or one I just couldn't live without. If it's one I couldn't live without, it's definitely Wonderlist. That's we run our whole life on our task manager.
Yeah.
But I do like. Oh, this is very hard. I'd say YouTube or music. I do love my YouTube.
Okay. Do you use YouTube like for learning or for entertainment?
Everything.
Everything, all of the above.
He uses Google, so if he wants to. If you normally need to Google something, he'll probably search it in YouTube first.
Okay, do you all watch TV at all? And if you do you have a favorite show?
Yes. At the moment, or just of all time? I mean, Game of Thrones would have to be up there.
Yeah, we just finished the series, waiting for the final.
Yeah.
Was it October it's coming out?
No, it's actually next year. They've pushed it out to next year.
What do you mean next year, like 2019?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure
That's
that's
bad.
what I heard. Yeah. Sorry.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. They do drag it out a bit. But yeah, that was probably the one that we always, once we've finished a season, we'd be hanging out for the next one the most.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Yeah, Game of Thrones.
We did it the right way. We actually waited till all the series was done and then then we watched them.
Well, we watched, I think, the first 3 or 4 seasons back to back.
Yep.
Because we didn't start at the beginning. Because I don't like being scared. So it took a couple of attempts to actually get into it. But surprisingly, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I think I know, because it's set in whenever it was set in. It's doesn't seem that realistic to me. But if
very fictional.
If that was like happening in this day and age on TV, I'd probably have nightmares for days. I don't know how I'm managing to separate that in my brain, but
yeah, and I think you just you just go all in on the characters. I think really jealous of your situation to watch it all at once and binge watch it. I think that's a beautiful thing. You know, after binge watching the first, I think, 4 seasons and then watching the next couple with everybody else, it's interesting. It becomes a bit of an event.
You look forward to it every week.
Every week, and then you get to read everything in between episodes and get into all these heated conversations at work. And
that's my me. Mine stops at watching it. Each episode, I don't go diving into things as much as he does. That's where YouTube kicks in.
Yeah, that's where YouTube kicks in. Yep.
I guess that could be a good example too. I mean, I feel like my husband and I are pretty picky about the TV that we watch. We don't watch, we don't even have cable. We don't watch regular TV. We pick the shows that we like and then we watch it without commercials and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, free to air television is. I mean, we're watching it now with the Australian Open, with tennis. But we get angry.
I do too.
And the types of ads as well. That's probably why I get angry more so than the fact that there are ads, because I just look at all the ads and I just sit there shaking my head. I mean, I imagine.
Well, see, even with tennis, we have the ESPN app, and so we can watch the replay of the app and not watch it live. And then the only problem is you kind of can get an idea of how the outcome is going to be. There's only an hour left, so Federer's probably going to win this match because he's already won the first set. So that kind of thing happens.
Yeah,
but we can fast forward through the commercials. I'm to the point I can't even handle when there's commercials. It drives me crazy.
Well, I normally just get up and walk away and go and do something.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good example. Good time to get up and move around.
Or
that's a good point.
Or just mute it, because just the shouting in your face is not fun.
But you're right. Outside of that, I think it's everything that we consume is on demand. So we rarely watch free to air anymore.
I love that. Okay, so Michael and Masha, how can people find you online?
So we are at theminimalistvegan.com, and we are also on Facebook, just The Minimalist Vegan, and Instagram the same. I think we also have Pinterest, but we're not overly active on there. But you can kind of, if you like, if I'm searching recipes and doing whatever, Pinterest is my search engine of choice. So
Marsha's very visual. Yes.
Yes, we do have Pinterest, but we're not overly active on any platform. We just post when we have something to post, rather than feeling the pressure of, oh my God, I haven't posted for 2 weeks. Yeah. Let me come up with something just for the sake of it. So they're the main places.
I think the thing that how a lot of people find us is through search, and we do offer a free cookbook called 1 Week of Meals, which you can find on our website, and that's basically an introduction to a plant-based lifestyle. So you can start to play around in the kitchen with that. And then on top of it, we send out a newsletter called Slow Sunday Mornings every fortnight, just to share some of the thoughts which are on our minds, and also to update our audience on some new posts.
Oh, I love it. Well, Masha and Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I had a wonderful time.
Thanks, Marley. It was great to
Thank you so much.
chat with you.
Thanks to Michael and Masha for being my guests on today's episode of the Chopped Podcast. Be sure to go to chopped.academy today and sign up for both the Pinterest and the Instagram course, and use the discount code PODCAST to get 20% off both courses today. If you'd like to know the next courses that are going to be coming your way, make sure you sign up for the Chopped newsletter by scrolling down to the bottom of the page and filling out the form. We will make sure that you're the first to hear about the courses when they come available. Thanks to you for your support of the Chopped Podcast. I can't tell you how much it means when I get your emails, or when I see a new comment or a new review of the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. It really means a lot to know that this show is having an impact on you and helping you on a day-to-day basis. So thank you again, and please keep spreading the word. You inspire me, and I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational to you as well. Now go forth and be your best you.